All right, thanks very much. This is an apartment renovation in Parkville. Just to give you an idea, it's one of the very early high-rise buildings in Parkville. It's this one here, non-decathleti's Parkville Arcadia beside it. This was done by Erman Schmrecker. The apartment is on that northwest corner at level 4. This is the elevation of the original architects by Erman Schmrecker, and just with a highlight on where the site is actually located. Interesting that this building was originally conceived as a commercial building, and it was actually ended up being developed as a residential building. I just thought this little set of sketch drawings might be helpful to give you an idea of what was the important thing here. The existing conditions had lots of internal spaces with no connection. It had a sort of tortuous, dark entry point from the foyer, and the kitchen actually occupied the main sort of space, which actually had northern orientation, western orientation, and there was a reasonably generous dimension from the northern edge back through to the side of the wardrobes in this bathroom. What we wanted to do was to maximise living space in this position, so we took out that narrow small room. These two rooms stay, and we actually took a metre off the rooms on this stage because they could handle that, put in some concealed storage, and then opened up views through to the north from even the internal rooms. So these are bathrooms with windows through to the north, and the utility space with the kitchen on this side with a view back through to this position. The interesting thing is that when you arrive in this building now, there is a sense of connection to the north, which was not possible before. So you can see in this plan, it just shows very simply the demolition, which was pretty much removal of all the partitioning that was in there. But the great thing is that it's a load-bearing structure. None of that was load-bearing at all, so it could actually be done. We left the ceiling in this part of the building. The height above the ceiling, existing ceiling at the underside of the concrete, was 157 millimetres. The 157 millimetres was actually worth getting into the new living space. And there were some service ducts that I showed on that sketch before. This one here, this one, this one, and this one. So they are the constraints within the rectangular plan. The thing that really is incredible about this little exercise for us is that the sort of infinite possibilities of the rectangular plan. I mean, I've always enjoyed planning and dealing with minutiae of the plan, and this really was quite fascinating. So what we've actually done is reconfigured this. We've put a large gridded floor through it. Kitchen's on this side of the room with that opening right through. We've used glass doors at these particular ends, so you can actually get a sense of the connection to the outside. A window and a mirror through here, so I can stand in front of the mirror and look at the park over the back, even with a small window from the shower recess. And the joy in this project really is about the detailing and how you actually make things work. So some concealed storage spaces in here with sliding panels that still allows artwork to be hung, and a general sort of openness. And we stuck in a small study in this position for myself and my wife to work at. That, during COVID, was headquarters for the office for 9 months. So we had total immersion in this particular apartment. You can see there the height difference, which we actually thought was important. We stayed with the height in this location. We used very minimal plant and equipment, rearranged the sprinklers. Because we got that to come up, one of the most important things we did was actually put a bulkhead back down to the windowsill. So it actually lined up the face of all the columns, and so you actually had a minor increase and then an opposing drop of the ceiling. That's introduced a structural strength and visual strength into the apartment that wasn't there before. So you can see it actually was a sort of a bit of suburban interiors, from the 70s in this building. There wasn't anything much to actually be comfortable about. This was the process. That wall stayed. but you can see it was all lightweight metal stud frames, so it was a very easy thing to clear. And this is really where we've ended up with, and you can see here the views through to the powder room at the end, past the laundry, past the kitchen, and the bulkhead, which is a really important addition. The underside of the slab had a very interesting pattern of, a well set out pattern of formwork, and so what we did on that was actually put on a Kimes and mineral stain just to actually even it up, and left the imperfections in that part of the building. So it's actually got a sort of industrial aesthetic to it now. Not that we were trying to make it look industrial, but it's actually a bit more muscular, because the building itself is actually very muscular, and you actually go to the inside and it actually had this sort of flimsiness and weakness that we wanted to actually correct. So just, the joy of the detailing, how we make that work, and the results of minimal choice of tiles. The difference between these tiles and the ones in the kitchen is that they're slightly different size, but still in the horizontal format. That's the window through the from the ensuite across the bathroom to the outside, across the bedroom to the outside. This is the entry arrival point, and you can see where we were doing things like a wall for art, but it's actually a concealed cupboard with a very large hinge. Had a lot of discussion with the joiner about you couldn't do that. I guess you could. And we ended up using a stainless steel trucking hinge to actually make that cupboard work. There's the short connection from the arrival point back down the hallway, and you can see here again the idea of the sliding panels. This panel slides across here, slides across the entry, and there's concealed storage in that location. This is a view just of the laundry. One of the important things was having a laundry in this particular apartment, and a little hanging system that I incorporated into the panels. This is some steel shelves in the study, narrow space, and you can see there the step from the original ceiling height to the new ceiling height. So it's not much, but coupled with the bulkhead, it actually works very well. There's the bulkhead, the significance of the bulkhead and the ceiling above. The long windowsill on the north is a wonderful model for designing buildings, and it just begs to have shelves underneath it. So it seemed to be a logical thing to do. And some of the detailing of the equipment, kitchen, and a lot of the apartments in the building tend to wrap this duct and this column and put shelves and things in, but I quite like the sort of monumentality of those two pillars sitting in there.